Greg Bluestein is senior political reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and an MSNBC political contributor. He was at Green's event last night. Stuart Stevens is a senior advisor for the Lincoln Project. He helped lead Mitt Romney's 2012 campaign as author of It Was All a Lie. Good to have you both here, guys. So, Greg, take us inside that event in Georgia. What did you see? How did it feel? Was it different than town halls you've been to in the past?
Very different from past town halls. It felt more like a fortified campaign event than a typical town hall. There was about 30 law enforcement officers. There was even mounted patrols outside this suburban community center in Cobb County, where Marjorie Taylor Greene held this town hall. Hundreds of protesters were outside. And it's not a free-for-all. Hundreds outside, but this is no free-for-all. Each participant who was actually invited inside was pre-screened. They were made sure that they were constituents, and they had to go through security. So this was a very carefully calibrated event.
Stuart, is there a political playbook for dealing with this, or is this just genuinely a new moment that we're seeing? When you're talking about people getting tased, when you're talking about near fistfights breaking out, when you're talking about arrests. I mean, I've been to some town halls where, I'm not going to lie, I need a little coffee, just to stay awake. What is going on here?
Well, it's particularly interesting. This is Cobb County, which is not known as a revolutionary, insurrectionist, Bolshevik spot. This is classic suburban America. The closest thing I think we've seen to anything like this would have been leading up to the 2010 election with the anger over Obamacare. And what happened then? It was a disastrous wipeout for Democrats in the 2010. And that sort of smell that you feel, that you're here, that you can sense, is fear from the Republicans. They have this sense that they're on this car, the car is headed toward the cliff, and they don't know how to stop it, and they don't know how to get out of the car. It's when you do things that people have never done before for a reason. Talk about cutting Social Security. When you're cutting Social Security offices, when you're talking about slashing government agencies directly helping people, from FEMA to the FAA to Center for Disease Control. All of this is stuff that people care about. And of course they're angry. And out of Washington, you have Elon Musk, who is completely impervious to any of this. Whatever happens isn't going to affect Elon Musk. He's going to fly a private plane. He's going to have private doctors. None of this. He's not going to be dependent on Social Security. And there's this whole sense when you have a government run by billionaires, which is what we have now, that they're just completely out of touch with this. And if I was a Republican, I would be very, very nervous.
It's interesting. I mean, if you're Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I think she won 2/3 of the vote last time, you're probably not too worried, and you can afford to handle things the way that she did. There was also Chuck Grassley. There was a moment in his event in Iowa, and by the way, he had 56% of the vote the last time he ran. But again, wow, when he was asked about the controversy over Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador, this is what happened.
Are you going to bring that guy back from El Salvador? Yeah. Why not?
Well, because that's not a power of Congress.
The Supreme Court said to bring him back.
Yeah, but
the president hasn't.
What can they do?
He's defined the Constitution.
Trump don't care.
If I get an order to pay a ticket for $1,200 and I just say no, does that stand up? Because he's got an order from the Supreme Court and he just said no.
Yeah. He just said screw it.
the president of that country is not subject to our U.S. Supreme Court.
If Trump wanted to bring him back, bring him back. I'm pissed.
It doesn't sound like the good folks of Iowa were buying that. And it wasn't the only time it came up in Florida. The crowd shouted and booed when Congressman Brian Mast tried to defend the administration's handling of that situation. Are we getting to the point, do you think, Stuart, where these staunch Trump defenders start to lose some of their resolve in standing up for the president's policies?
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you focused on Senator Grassley. I used to work for Senator Grassley. very interesting guy, started his career in politics as a labor leader who has been greatly loved in Iowa. And that if Chuck Grassley is getting this sort of pushback
At
it's
91,
really
I think,
very
isn't he like 91 now?
Yeah, yep, he is. This is just if people care about this stuff, and I know there's this sense that, well, this one person who's been deported, but you know, Americans have always felt that we had this rule of law, that the Supreme Court would be recognized. And even now, at a period when the Supreme Court is at the lowest approval level it's ever been in public polling, they had a 9-0 decision on this, which is just extraordinary. And yet the White House seems completely willing to ignore it, or to say that this isn't really what the ruling said. And I think, look, what did people vote for Trump? And what are they getting? They voted for lower prices. Prices are higher. They voted for, some voted to end the war in Ukraine. The war is more intense than ever. People voted for lower egg prices. They're through the roof. You have the stock market is in turmoil. Everybody that has stocks has less money now than they did the day Trump was sworn in. What's the benefit here? What are you getting in this bargain? I voted for Donald Trump. It's a transaction. What am I getting? And I think the answer is that people are looking at that and they're feeling that they're not getting at all what they wanted. And those are people who voted for Trump.